Back here on the Cox 11 Sports Report, we're now joined by our friends from the Virginia-Pilot, Larry Rubama and Jami Frankenberry. And fellas, thanks for stopping by. Exciting year once again in high school football in the area. We just finished up the championship games with Oscar Smith beating Salem 35-34, and of course Phoebus edging Norcom 24-20. Have you seen better back-to-back championship games than those two?
Nah, I mean this was the whole playoffs, which is exciting from game one to the very end. But this past Friday and Saturday was just incredible.
Yeah, usually there's a lot of build up to these games, and then you get to these games, and at least one or two of them, maybe both of them are routes. But both of those games, the championship games in Division 5 and 6, came down really to the final play, final minute. And yeah, it was a great weekend for high school football.
Now, a lot of the talk around the area on message boards and through the community and so forth has been the decision by Robert Jackson, the great Salem football coach, to go for 2, down 35-34. Your thoughts on the decision?
It could go either way. We talked a little bit about it on Saturday. If you're going to go for 2, I mean, he knows what how his team was going, but they had all the momentum. And people said, go ahead, kick the field goal, the extra point, take it into overtime. But you also have a quarterback. I know they like swinging it outside, but when you have a quarterback as big as Bucky, I mean, he had run for 3 touchdowns already. Let him run up the middle. I don't think anybody was going to stop him. But, you know, he kept saying, though, as the game was going on, the last 3 minutes, he said, if we get the ball again, we're going for 2. He kept saying on the sideline the whole time. So he was already set. This is what we're going to do. I probably would have sent Bucky up the middle, but, you know, I'm not a coach.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those decisions that, you know, if he makes it, they score. He's the best coach, you know, of the day. If he doesn't, you know, you got to question him. But like Larry said, I mean, we were on the sideline, and there was no doubt that they were going to go for 2. He just felt like they had the momentum. They wanted to take it and, you know, turn it over to their defense and be up by a point. But it didn't happen. It was, you know, 2-3 inches short.
Now we're back with Oscar Smith in the state playoffs. Larry, you had a chance to see them in the first game. They lost to Gilman when they gave up 51 points. Now they've won 12 in a row. What's impressed you most about them? You know, that first game, they looked like already was the first game of the season. They looked like they were in the playoff mode at that time. Then they came back here, and I don't know if they kind of thought, well, we can just run through everybody. And they really struggled. I mean, there were several games where I saw them struggle. They seem like now they're getting right back to where they were that first game. The only thing I wonder about is I know JC isn't at 100%. I mean, you could tell when he was running, he wasn't 100%. But Williamson looked great. I mean, the last 3 games, you know, Bethel and Grassfield in his past game, except for maybe the second half, he looks like he's got the composure, that he's ready, and the wide receivers are playing up big. I mean, I think they're almost to where they were when they played against Gilman, but they got a little bit more they need to do, and they got to get that line together. The line has got to be solid when you go against those teams from up north. Now, Jami, let's take a look at some of the surprises this year in the area in high school football. What really surprised you this season?
Well, I think 2 teams really stuck out during the regular season. Norview, Greg Gibson came in from California and turned that program around. They were winless last year. They were just a train wreck. Lost a coach 2 games into the season. And the other team is Lakeland. Lakeland was also winless. And they came out, made the playoffs, made a great run. And Lakeland's got a lot of young guys who are coming back next year. I think those 2 really stuck out to me as the best surprises.
Now, every year we have big-time recruits all throughout Hampton Roads end up going to play big-time college football. What players stood out to you guys this season? Bucky Hodges. I mean, last year I saw him play. Some of the decision-making was you questioned as well. Sometimes he thought run first before passing. He's staying back there now, and he's a threat to run as well as pass now. And I think he's going to be, I mean, he's going to probably be one of our top recruits next year. And then Ocean Lakes has some big guys on the line as well. But next year is going to be interesting as well. Who should we keep an eye out for next year as well?
Yeah, I mean, Bucky Hodges, I think he has really established himself as the guy heading into next season. I mean, he had a pretty good season as a sophomore, but he really stood out. He took care of the ball. He runs. He passes. He's a big guy. He's hard to bring down. So, yeah, I think he's the guy a lot of recruiters are going to really look at for next year.
Final question for you guys. We got one more team from the Southampton Road still playing Oscar Smith. Who are the teams to watch out for next year in 2012?
Well, I mean, I think Lakeland is going to be good. You know, Raekwon Johnson comes back. He's their sort of running back. Zach Super, who was their quarterback, he was injured early in the season. He'll return, so that spread offense should still be rolling next year, I think.
And in the beach, again, I mean, you got a lot of juniors on the team at Salem. You got some good players at Bayside. Ocean Lakes is going to be good. And you always can't count out Oscar Smith. I mean, they keep doing it every year.
Guys, always a pleasure talking with you. Keep it right here on the Cox 11 Sports Report. And follow these guys, Jami Frankenberry and Larry Rubama and the Virginia-Pilot on pilotonline.com and 757teams.com. We now throw it over to my partner, Matt White.
Thank you, Mr. Hatfield. Once again, a reminder, you can watch the state football championships live here on Cox 11. That first game will be at noon. That's Division 5. Division 6 will be at 4 p.m. So those games seen live here on Cox 11. And make sure you stay tuned here to Sports Report. When we come back, we've got 2 more sets of highlights. You're watching the Cox 11 Sports Report.